So welcome to Scrapbook Live. I'm Megan Jacks. Today is Friday, March 28th. It is the last Friday of the month, so I have a border for it to put together. And this is one I created. It's pretty simple, and I hope you find some versatility in it. I did it as a tropical thing. I have the snorkeling sticker on there, kind of alluding to you could, if you have snorkeling or beach photos. But this would work really well too if you have aquarium photos, blowing bubbles outside, bath time, anything that has waters or bubbles would be great. You can also adapt it if you wanted just to use the circles to be able to showcase different embellishments or different punches. So don't be, thinking that this is only for beach or water photos. It can go to more things than that. So just kind of keep that in mind when you're thinking what you want to create with this. So I'm going to switch over here to my overhead camera and we'll get started. All right, so for today's thing, I have my sample here, and the sample that was on the handout, you can see I didn't have it attached to a paper. It was just laying on that dark kind of tonal navy paper. The opposite side to that paper is actually kind of that water coming down to, it makes me think of like the ocean floor here with the water above it. And so it was a lot of fun to just kind of put this together. I love that it pulls all the colors together and so forth. So when you're putting this border together, we will be putting it on a 1-inch strip that's going to be kind of build it on, which will allow you to kind of transfer it, I guess. After you make it, you can kind of figure out where you want to put it on your paper, but ultimately it is going to need to be mounted to your base page, especially when we start to tuck in some of the other items here. It was easier to do that as part of it being kind of attached to a piece of paper. So I think my base piece, let me just measure this here so you can kind of keep that in mind as you're building it. I am just shy of 4 inches. I'm about 3 7/8, which is my navy, my darker blue background here. So if you have a 4-inch strip of paper, that's going to be something, if you have that available, once you kind of build your border, that will be wide enough for you to be able to get it mounted there and then tuck all your pieces in if you want. Okay, so what we need for today is I've got my instructions here, and we need to have our custom cutting system circles available. We're going to be using circle number 2 and circle number 3, which is the medium circle and the largest circle. And then I've got some various cardstock here. I've got a dark sea green. I'm going to be duplicating the border I've already made. I'm going to make a second one. I've got some dark sea green. I have a strip of dark sea green. Whatever color you're making your main bubbles out of, I would encourage you to have your strip of paper be that same color. That way, if any of it does kind of show through, it's the same color as your bubbles. So it's, just doesn't stand out too much. I've got some designer paper. I'm going to use this coral paper, and I am going to be punching out some of those icons, the shell and coral icons on the paper, and then I'll be using the reverse side to create the other circles that have the stickers and the fish attached to it. I have a second cardstock. I'm using aqua. If you are using sun-soaked, this aqua, if you have aqua in your stash, that's great. It's a retired color from Creative Memories. So sad. I wish they would bring it back. Another color that might work really well, you could use Island Waters. I think Island Waters is a little intense. There are Island Waters is kind of in this blue green or more of a green area, and aqua is going to stay up here more in the blues. You could go with Lagoon, which is a nice kind of intermediate color, and it's that pretty shimmer, which I think the shimmers with the bubbles would look really, really cute. I will admit I was really lazy when I put this border together. I looked for some Lagoon shimmer paper, like a scrap of it, and I came across the aqua and I was like, well, I didn't want to cut up a piece of Lagoon shimmer, so I just stuck with my scrap of aqua. I have a second piece of tonal paper. This is the orange tonal paper with scrap. So I'm going to be using that as well. And then I have some stickers, border stickers that I'm going to be using. And I end up cutting apart with my scissors the fish, because I'd already used the fish off of my sticker sheet. This Sun Soaked collection does have fish as actual stickers or maybe even embellishments, but I just had my border stickers. I was going to cut those apart. And I do end up using some more of the bubble border stickers, and I'm going to be punching those with my circle punch. So, and I do have my circle punch available here and the leafy vine border maker or border punch, though I've already punched my border with the parakeet shimmer, so we'll kind of get there, but I have some things already done. So the first thing we need to do is we need to go ahead and cut our base circles. So the circles with the dark sea green. I have already trimmed my 1-inch base piece here. You could probably make it 1.5. I wouldn't get too wide with it because we do want to be able to kind of put our bubbles on here and kind of stagger them a little bit. If it's too wide, then you have a lot more you have to cover up. So I need to go ahead and I'm going to use circle number 3, the largest circle, and I'm going to use the red blade on the inside track. And that's going to give me my larger circle here. This larger circle that kind of becomes an area for an embellishment cluster or your stickers title. You could put a photo there as well. So I'll go ahead and cut that. And then I need to go ahead and cut 6 smaller circles, and I'm going to use the green blade on the inside track of circle number 2, and that's my medium circle, green blade inside track, and I'm going to cut 6 of those. And you just want to cut, I mean, you could cut these any size you want. If you feel like this overall border is a little too big and bold for you, you prefer something a little bit smaller, you could use smaller circles. You don't have to include the larger circle. It's really, really flexible. It's more about a concept as compared to a technical design. So it's just about circles, putting them on there just to kind of replicate what bubbles floating up to the surface or floating through the air might look like. I was going to get out the, what is it, the You Quack Me Up paper, and I was going to do some for like bath time. I think that would be really cute and incorporate the rubber duck punch in there. If you do something for outside, maybe playing with bubbles outside, you could definitely do using maybe white shimmer, silver, the platinum shimmer. Got some options there. So here we've got our 6 pieces. And before I started adding all of the other pieces, you can see here in this picture, I went ahead and just kind of put my base pieces on here just to see, kind of how I wanted it to go. And you can see they're kind of staggered all around to the side. I see Kim, she's at this Great Escape, which is a scrapbook house in Washington that I use. And I am so bummed to not be there with Kim's amazing. So I'm bummed that I can't be scrapbooking with that group right now. So, but it's okay. It's beautiful and sunny here this weekend. But back to the border, we just kind of put these on. I have a couple at the top. I will tell you the one thing to note. You can see here at the top, I cut some off at the top and I cut some at the bottom. So I am going to go ahead and cover up the entire top here, and I'm going to cover up the bottom as well. I'm no longer going to be able to see the straight edge. And you can just kind of layer these in. Now, one thing I did do is I kind of felt like I would start a little bit at the bottom and then layer the ones on top. I don't know, I just felt like the bubble, the higher they go, they need to be more looking like they're in front in a way. So they just kind of get tucked on here, and then this very top one should be on the top as such. I do like the sense of movement. And again, if you have pieces that start to stick out, you can't see it because I have dark sea green against the dark sea green. If you can see bits of your 1-inch strip behind it, that's okay. Remember, we're gonna make other little details in here. Any foliage we use, we're gonna make smaller bubbles out of another color. You'll be able to tuck those in and cover it up. So don't feel that you have to make your bubbles, these circles we currently have, cover that entire 1-inch strip. All right, I think this looks pretty good. You can use just adhesive and start putting it down. You could come down to the strip of paper. It actually works pretty good to just put your adhesive right on the 1-inch strip. I'm gonna switch over to using regular adhesive. The reason I would recommend putting your adhesive on the strip and not on your bubbles is because what this is going to allow me to do is I can easily still lift my pieces up and I can tuck in my designer paper. If you want, you can create all of your bubbles, your circles, putting your designer paper and your stickers on there before you assemble it. But I kind of like doing it this way because then I can just focus on the overall shape and then I'll be able to come back in with those designer details of the paper and so forth. Just what I want to pull over just a little bit more. So I am just making sure to get that adhesive on the 1-inch strip, not necessarily on my circles. I'm not putting it directly on my circles. I am probably using more adhesive than necessary. So put as much on as you feel like you need. I am looking for a little bit of, like, this piece feels like it's probably too far over. So I'm gonna pull it off and make an adjustment. I am looking kind of just here to feel, does it feel a little bit balanced? Do I need to, like, maybe this piece needs to come over just a little bit more? I think that's pretty good. I still have the ability to come in, let me just show you with my multi-purpose tool. I still have the ability to come in under all of these circles and I'll be able to put those other pieces in place. So that's kind of important if you haven't already put on your designer paper. All right, so the next step is I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna cut, so I'm gonna do step 5, and that is using circle number 3, which is our large circle again, and I need to use my accent paper. I'm gonna go ahead and put the circle, the big circle here. Now, if you want to use this as a photo, you certainly can. I mean, you could come in here and put all little photos in here as well. If you have little detail photos, maybe you have gone to an aquarium, you've gone snorkeling, you've gone something where you have those photos, those would be great areas to use those detail photos and just use your circle punch to punch your photos directly. I don't have a photo, so I'm going to go ahead and just cut the this tonal orange paper again, and I'm going to be using the blue blade. I do need to get the blue blade out. The blue blade on the inside track to cut the smaller circle that goes in this piece. This is the same circle size you would use if you're cutting a photo. And you can see that it sits right there, just real nice. So one of the things that I might keep in mind as I'm assembling this, remember, I've already got one border over here created. If I'm thinking I'm going to be creating a second border that's going to be maybe on the other page, I might actually build mine a little bit upside down so that my this larger piece here is maybe more towards the bottom to kind of keep them balanced across a 2-page spread. The other thing you can think of is if you are wanting to build a border, is this doesn't have to go all the way up your page. I could stop this at some point and just have a few bubbles coming up. It can be a partial border coming up the page. It might be cute just to have, you know, a small amount. So that's something to keep in mind as well. We sometimes think that borders have to extend the whole page, but they don't necessarily have to. I think I am gonna make, I like the idea of it being the other, more of a complementary border. So I'm going to make a couple of quick adjustments here because I do feel like I need to have it be like more like that. Little adjustments. Okay, there we go. That's how mine's going to be, just simply because I am building that complementary border. So I want to have my larger piece be more towards the bottom. You can put that wherever you want. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and adhere this piece in place. And this would be where I can put on my embellishments. I could put this as journaling. I could use journaling paper here and do journaling. That's option 2. All right, so now I need to go ahead. I need 3 pieces or 3 punched pieces of my coral paper. So this is, I'm using designer paper, and I'm gonna find pieces in here that I like, and I'm gonna punch around them. So I know I want those 2 shells and the starfish that's there. So I'm gonna go ahead and punch that. The circle punch works amazing for this because you know exactly what you're getting. I do see a quick question from Tara. Yes, Tara, if you need to go, that's great. It will be available to watch later. I am going to get this uploaded as soon as I'm done with the live portion. Next up, I'm going to grab that piece of blue coral. Now what I really want is, before on my other one, I did grab another piece of this lighter yellow coral. But it's kind of pale. I'm looking to see if there's anything else on here that I feel like I could grab that would be maybe not quite as pale. I don't know if I can grab just the seashell. Well, I think I'm gonna go ahead and I'll grab the coral again, this pale yellow coral. It doesn't photograph very well, like on the paper. It just looks like I don't even have anything there, but there is something there. So I've got my 3 pieces there. Now what I'll be able to do is I just need to get 3 more out of just the tonal side here. So it doesn't really matter too much. I'm gonna come in probably and just try to grab see if I can get some circles in here of areas that are already punched. And I need 1 more. So now I have those 3 circles cut. So that's so I have 6 total. 3 of the designer paper, and I have 3 of the tonal side. So now what I need to do is I need to adhere these to the smaller bubbles on my border. But before I attach my tonal pieces, I'm going to need to use I want to cut some more bubbles. And this is probably the funnest thing you can do, like with your circle punch. You can do it with the custom cutting system, but it works really, really well with the punch here, is punching your border stickers. You can punch, I think I've punched the laser cut borders as well. You might want to take a border that you aren't in love with and give it a try and see how it works. I know I've used the custom cutting system to do these as well. But what I did here, just to make this easy, was I cut away a strip of the borders from the main body of the strip of the backing paper, leaving the backing paper on there. I don't want to expose the adhesive before I have to. And I just cut it away with my scissors so I can see the whole thing. And I'm going to bring this into my circle. Now, the one thing you do have to think about when you're putting this on here is you have to imagine where in your circle I want my bubbles to be. Do I want them to be in the middle? Do I want them to be off to one side? Because wherever you cut them on here is where they need to go once you've punched them. So if I punch in the middle, that's where it's going to go once I put it on my other circle. So I'm going to put it a little off to the side. I want my fish to be a little off to the side there. I'm going to do, I think, about like that. Now what I'll be able to do is go ahead and peel that off, grab one of my tonal papers pieces here, and then I kind of just grab it from the outside edge here. You can see I've just kind of got it with, on the pads of my fingers. And I'm just finding where it meets, and it's right there. So there we go. There's how my bubbles fit on there. And you can do that with all sorts of things. I'm gonna get 2 more out of this. Again, I'm working from the back side. It makes it, of the punch, it makes it easy to see where I'm punching. One didn't, I punched a little close to the edge, but I think I'm okay. I think it got the punch or the sticker. Put this on. Of course, you could put your sticker strip on your paper first and then punch your sections out. Um, it just depends. I wasn't sure when I did this how many pieces I would need, so I didn't want to commit a full strip of my border sticker down a strip of paper to punch. It works, this method works great if you want to switch up the colors of the pieces that you're using. So maybe I wanted to use various tonal pieces in here, so that's something to keep in mind. That last little bit. So I was able to get 6 out of 1 border. It is a little tight, that last bit. So you do have to, if you are trying to get 6 of these circle punches out of a 12-inch border strip, you will want to make sure you punch your pieces pretty close together. You don't want to be, giving a lot of space. You want to stick pretty close to the edge every time to make sure, because it's a 12-inch strip and you're cutting 1 3/4 inch at a time. All right, there we go. Okay, got those 3. Now I'm going to go ahead and start attaching these to my border. And you can see I am able to just tuck them under because I have a little bit, I don't have, my bubbles are not attached to each other. They are only attached to that first strip, or that base strip. I have 2 coral pieces. So what I'm doing as I'm putting this together, I don't want my coral pieces to be next to each other. I don't want them to be in order. So I'm going to go coral at the bottom, this yellow, actually I'll do the darker coral at the bottom, the more bluish coral at the bottom. I'll have my next piece is going to be the shells, and then this top lighter coral will come in at the very top. And my last bubbles will come in here. Or my last, yeah, the last tonal yellow that has the bubbles. All right, now the next thing that I need to do here is I need to go ahead and put down, I need to cut out my fish. So I'm using the fish border. You might have, if you're doing sun soaked, there are fishes in the, independent fishes in the stickers. There are, I haven't opened the actual embellishment pack. I was waiting for another set to come in. There probably are some fish in there too. So you may have some other little things you want to include in here. There might be other aquatic creatures that you want to include. You definitely could come in if you have the sea turtle punch and put those in. But I'm going to use some scissors. I'm going to use the micro tip scissors, and I'm going to put on my glasses so I can see. And I'm just gonna again come in here and I'm gonna try to cut them as best I can. I want the dark fish and I want the gold fish here. I'm not gonna do this color of fish, the aqua fish, because it matches my bubbles. So I need the dark fish, the orange fish, and the dark fish again. Now the dark fish and the orange fish are right next to each other, so I really need to be careful when I'm cutting these two apart to kind of, you know, go a little bit in the middle. So that's what I'm going to do is I'm just going to try to like stick close to the goldfish's or the orange fish's nose, and that should give me enough space to be able to work with the blue fish fin or tail to still get that looking so that it doesn't look crazy. And I just get it cleaned up. Now, I used some foam dots to put these on, the foam stickers, foam squares. I'm in love with the thin ones. I do appreciate foam squares. I think they're fun, but I will admit sometimes they get a little crazy on, it feels like you get a little baby bulky. But the thin ones are kind of like this really nice compromise. And so I hope that you all had a chance to get some. I have some in my inventory if you didn't have a chance to get them Creative Memories, but I'm hoping maybe they'll bring them back as part of the actual lineup. So you just put some foam squares on there and then come in here. And I've got two dark fish. So I'm gonna put a dark fish up top, a dark orange fish in the middle, and a dark fish at the bottom. So here, I'm just gonna put it in as such. I am not gonna sit there and put the rest of the fish on. I'm not gonna worry about that. I wanna move on kind of to the next steps, which are to create our accent bubbles. So I've got my piece of accent cardstock. I'm going to be using aqua, as I mentioned. Lagoon shimmer would look beautiful here as well. And I need to go ahead and I think I use circle number 1. So I need the smallest circle. That's circle number 1. And this one is, we're going to be using red and blue blades. I think that's right. Does that sound right? Red and blue blades? It doesn't matter. You're just going to cut smaller circles. So if you think the blue one's too small, you need more like green ones, you know, the green, just cut what you need. Yeah, so somebody's calling me, Shirley's saying she needed a bubble border for a wedding for maybe like the champagne. I can't scroll up to see the full comment, but yeah, this would work perfect. Oh my gosh, could you imagine this in like, we had a beautiful, oh my gosh, I cannot remember the sand. There was a shimmer that just came out just recently. It is a beautiful champagne color. Could you imagine that with like the kind of the golden, the white, beautiful, beautiful for a bubbly champagne toast page. And then we're going to go ahead and use the red blade with the inside track of the number 1 circle, the smallest, and cut some more bubbles. All right, so I cut 3 of each. I thought that worked pretty good. You might need more, you might need less. It just depends on how much you want. At this point, you just make it work best for you. And this is the part where it does get a little bit easier if you're ready to commit to putting this on a piece of paper. It does make it a little bit easier because when you want to start adhering this, you do have the ability to add some adhesive to the back of this and tuck it in. Maybe use your glue pen, a mini adhesive, a mini tape runner. But you're just going to start working these pieces in. If you have places where you've got the border, the 1-inch strip is showing through, definitely tuck your pieces in there. And you're just going to kind of like finagle these into place. I wouldn't worry about committing right away to where you want them because we still have to add in our, we still need to add in our greenery, our other accent. So I'm just going to kind of be tucking these into place a little bit. Like this. I had a tendency with the larger of the 2 bubbles that I cut, the accent bubbles, I kind of just put these behind rather than kind of layering them in, because I didn't want to cover up too much of this, of my other bubbles. I kind of layered them in behind. Then my small bubbles, those are the ones that kind of got tucked in, maybe overlapping a little bit more. You just kind of have to figure what works best for you. And there's a lot of flexibility in how you put this together, but you can see we're starting to add a little more interest, especially with the contrasting color, the two tones of the different the blues. You could come in even with a third color if you really wanted to. I debated adding in navy because I love navy with dark sea green. I mean, it's a beautiful color combination, and I thought it would be really nice to have that darker color in there, but once I got the aqua added in and I put on the rest of it, I felt it was fine. Now, as we're to this point, we're ready to start talking about adding in, for this particular one, I'm going to be adding in greenery because it's a snorkeling one. It's meant to be kind of for the ocean, could be for a lake, any body of water where you've got some, aquatic greenery in there, the plants. The leafy vine worked really well for this. Other ones that might work well for you, if you have the 5-leaf punch, would work nicely. If you have winter vine, that's an older punch that is absolutely beautiful. That works really well for aquatic foliage as well. You can kind of just play around with it a little bit and see what's going to work best for you. And all I did for this is I just kind of started cutting these into bits. Now you don't need very long pieces, so you're just going to kind of figure out where does it make sense to cut. So I've already cut off the top bit here, but I'm going to come in right here along this edge. If you can see right there, and cut that. And just continue the leaf shape. And then this piece will be available to tuck in. And I've got a nice top here. So I'm going to find another spot that I want to cut. And I think I'm going to cut this one real short. I'm going to come in along this leaf and cut. And so all you're doing is just cutting it apart to get the different pieces. I don't care so much about the bottom. Like, I don't care about this stem bit because it's going to get tucked in. Odd number of pieces is going to probably work the best. So just kind of keep that in mind. We always think of odd numbers. So that's why I did like 3 of each of the sizes of my bubbles, my small bubbles. But the reality is, do whatever makes your heart happy. And in some ways you can say you can just season this to your heart's content. If you like a lot of foliage in there or accent things, then that's what you add. I don't know if you guys ever watch those baking or the cooking reels on Facebook or TikTok or wherever, and they're talking about seasoning, and it's very much like it's seasoned to your heart's content. And because it's all just a matter of taste. And just put those in wherever you want them to go. And I'm going to add, I need to have at least one more up here at the top. And you can see this is definitely the type of thing that if I was building this on the base paper, it would really, really help. So I'm going to add one more and I think I'll be good. So if you've got that 4-inch piece, maybe that you've gone ahead and cut, or you have a piece of paper that you know you want this to be on. So something along those lines is really what we're going for. Let me lift this up. I can't really pick it up because things are not attached really well. You definitely want to make sure kind of once you get it laid out, how you want everything to fit together. But you can see we've added those pieces in. And you just make this work the best that you can do it. Thanks Michelle, I do love that the leaves, they just add that little bit of detail in there that is really fantastic. If you are doing like you're doing something for the like a bath time one, using the rubber duck punch in there. If anyone who's doing the if you are doing the wedding celebration one where you have or toast and you want to have the bubblies in there, we have the what's it called? The wine glass, the champagne glass punch. And you could tuck in some champagne glasses into the bubbles that are coming up. So there's lots of ways that you can use this to add the additional details as the little accent pieces that you tuck in, or using the individual circles themselves to be a place where you add some additional details there. And I think that pretty much sums everything up for this one. Yeah, and then you could add stickers here. I don't have a lot of stickers left to make this part of an accent one. I actually might come back and either replace this with a journaling paper or do a photo here. Or I could do an embellishment cluster. I haven't opened an embellishment pack, so that may, or that might be what ends up going over here. But here you can see the one I did, all those pieces on there with the fish, the foam squares. Just makes it a lot of fun to put that together. And of course, I use the shell paper. You can sub in the different papers as you want. There's beautiful ones in there. The other thing to think about, this doesn't have to be a vertical border. We do think of border, bubbles going up, but you can come to the side. And by coming to the side, it just becomes kind of a circle border, right? With some fun details in there. So if you like the concept, but you're like, I don't know if I need bubbles, turn it to the side. You could still have it going vertical even without it necessarily representing bubbles. But it just, it has all those details in there and lots of fun to be able to incorporate designer papers, stickers, accent pieces, all that good stuff. So that's it. That's what I have for you guys today. I hope you enjoyed putting that together or have a chance to do so. If you get a chance to put a border together, I would love for you to share it. You can share it in the Scrapbooking with Meggan Facebook group. And then just go ahead and tag, I think I have a hashtag on there as Scrapbook Live 032825. And I think in this live, I actually use the hashtag bubble border. I'm going to try going forward for some of these things to give the project a name in a way, something that helps us remember what we're doing. So this one was easy. It's just a bubble border. That's why those layouts, the one and done, they got named one and done. I want something that helps us to remember what are we talking about when we want to say, I'm looking for a project, or what did you guys do for this? By having things that have kind of names, not just sun-soaked borders. I mean, that can be helpful when you're searching on the blog. There are great ideas out there. But sometimes we don't always have those catchy names or just easier ways to refer to them. And I am working to make sure that my blog can be searchable. That's an area where I have not done so well. Just by having things by their date, it makes it difficult even for me to remember, when did I do that? So making some changes in there that'll hopefully make things be a little bit easier resource for you guys. So that's Scrapbook Live for today. In terms of Creative Memories announcements, they do have a small product launch coming on Monday. I thought maybe we'd see a larger one for April, but I think they're going to do the full true April product launch, maybe the following week. I don't know. I haven't heard one way or the other. But there's the Creative Motivation Binder. It's a creative, I think it's Motivation Binder. And you can buy it just as a binder with some dividers that you can file away your projects in there, or you can buy the kind of the fun bundle that has all of 2024's project recipes plus the virtual crop sketches already printed, 3-hole punched, ready to all go inside your binder. So those are some products available on Monday, and including the Q2, so quarter 2, simple page kits. You can get simple page kits 4, 5, and 6, plus their little sticker embellishment packs. You can get those all as a bundle, includes the folders to keep things organized. Or if you would like just ordering them one by one, you can order simple page kit number 4 starting on Monday as well. All right, I think that's all I have for you guys. I'll be back next week. We'll have another project to put together. on next Friday, same time and place. So I appreciate you guys hanging in there with me today as we created this, and I'll have another fun project for us next week. If you came in late, or if you need to leave early, I always have this uploaded to YouTube a little bit later in the afternoon, and it'll be all updated on my blog as well. So all right, thanks for joining me. I will see you all soon. Have a great weekend.